Hey, thanks for meeting with me, man. Truly appreciate your time.
Of
Uh,
course, yeah.
yeah, how are you? How is life?
I'm okay. Life's good. I recently started a new job a couple months ago, so that's taken up the bulk of my time, just getting accustomed and learning the code base. But other than that, I mean, I've been good. How about you?
That's great to hear. Yeah, me too. Actually, just came out of the iOS Dev Happy Hour meeting. Uh, have you heard of it?
I've heard of it. Never had the chance to participate. I've applied for through Eventbrite or whatever, and got my tickets, but never actually got to go.
Yeah. I think it's still going. Yeah, it's full of people, huge crowd. They seem really nice, and they're all talking about new technologies. It's pretty
Yeah,
fun. Uh, yeah,
yeah, they're cool people.
definitely. So yeah, let me give you an intro to what this is. Basically, a project I wanted to start a long time ago. Um, Two main objectives is to make other creators and other indie hackers feel less lonely in this journey because it can get pretty lonely, building and launching stuff on your own. And also just putting a face to a product or to a Twitter account. So to incentivize motivation and whatnot. So yeah, thank you again for doing this with me. And yeah, if you're
Yeah,
ready, let's start.
yeah, whenever you are, man.
Yeah, so I guess the basic first question would be like some background about you, work, studies, whatever you want to share.
Sure. So my name's Jan. I've been working with Swift, UI kit, and a little bit of Swift UI for a little while now. I started off working on my own project because there was a parking nightmare at my university, and just trying to find the application on the website to see their parking status. I was like, absolutely not. I need something better. So I made my own app, and it kind of feeds the data off their website into my own app. But it's really cool, and I was like, okay, this is awesome. I love iOS, in general, and now that I can program in it, I'm like super excited. I was actually majoring in film, so completely different uh, avenue, if you will, than programming. But I always knew in the back of my mind that I wanted to program. I knew that it was something that if I dedicated more time to it, then I can get it. And it just so happened that I eventually got into it. So
Wow, it's amazing, man. It's such
yeah,
a change in career paths, right?
yeah, it's very different.
Are you looking to like someday work with the Filmic Pro app or highlight camera?
Oh, that would be cool. I actually had an idea for an app because every time I wanted to get like a cool kind of like a dolly zoom shot, so like starting from the back and just kind of going in and then the focus kind of growing, if you will. I don't know if you've seen it, a lot of like Alfred Hitchcock stuff, where it's just kind of going in, the subject's in the center and the background's warping. I've always tried to do that with the phone, but I can't because there's like a little gap where it jumps from one lens to the other when you're trying to like
Yeah.
use your finger. So I was like, what if we made an app that did it? So it just gradually zoomed in and then you just kind of, brought your phone in. So, I mean, that'd be cool to work on, or one of the apps that you mentioned. That'd be cool.
Wow, definitely. Yeah. Like, do you mean like a virtual zoom and then when it reaches the exact size, then it changes to the next lens? Or
Yeah, or like almost like a seamless change, maybe both. Like I don't know if it would be possible, but recording on both lens at the same time, so
oh,
that
okay.
there you could just stitch it together. So it's not like a because it's always like a little jump, almost like from the wide angle lens to the telephoto ones. It's like a little like a stutter almost. So
Yeah.
just getting rid of that would be really cool.
Awesome. You should do it. Yeah, I think there's a huge market for that. Yeah, so I think the second question would be answering the why. Like why do you do what you do? You know, what motivates you, what gets you like out of bed every morning. And I think that's the best way to know a person, like the reason they're doing what they're doing. So yeah.
Sorry, I don't know if you hear my dog, but um, I like building products that other people can use. So I like making something that can simplify someone's life. So I find that a lot of things that I do throughout the day always require a lot of steps. So if I can make something that requires less steps so that it's easier to do, um, then I want to do that. And that's probably what always drives me forward. Like my most recent app, and I'm sure we'll talk about it. There was a huge demand for people. They didn't know how to order secret menu drinks at Starbucks. And I was like, well, let's just make an app that simplifies the process and tells you exactly how to order it. And then, there's no mystery or this gray area. So just kind of finding a problem and then working towards the solution. That's what drives me. I love finding solutions to things, even if it's like taking something apart and then seeing how it works and then, tweaking it and seeing if it works better. That's probably what always drives me forward.
Yeah, I think I can resonate with that a lot, and a lot of us that are building stuff have that personality of like every day, whatever you're doing, searching that kind of little issues that make your life a little uncomfortable, and like, how can I eliminate this process from my life? How can I like take away all this mental energy I need to do this and just put it in an app or something similar? So yeah, that's awesome. I think we
Hmm.
can all resonate with that. Um, the next thing would be idea validation. Do you have any method, any template that helps you drive that decision of whether building something or not?
I guess one of the biggest things would be I run my ideas like through my girlfriend, and there's like a little meter, and if she's intrigued the slightest bit, then I know it's a good idea. If she is like, oh yeah yeah yeah, then I know it's not a good idea because she's like a tough critic when it comes to apps. I'm like, oh, this app idea, and she's like, I don't know. I mean, people probably wouldn't use it, and I'm like, all right, people probably wouldn't use it because it's like as a developer, you're hopeful. It's almost like you're romanticizing an app. You're like, oh, I want this to be the greatest thing in the world, but then there's people that are like more down to earth, and they're like, that's not a very good idea. I wouldn't pay for that, or stuff like that. So probably my girlfriend first and foremost. But other than that, I like to run ideas through friends, other developers, and then I go online and see if it's already being done. So if there's no space in there, if it's too niche, then I probably won't do it because there's one big app taking up all of the people that use it in that sphere. But if it's not being kind of like absorbed by other developers, I'll kind of jump in.
That's actually great input. Yeah, I think validating with normal people that are not developers is can bring a lot of value because yeah, just as you mentioned, we can often romanticize the development process and like want to start getting building right the second that the idea comes to mind. So yeah, yeah, we should all do that
Hmm.
more often. So the next one is about first users, about your first beta users, if there was a beta version, or where did you find your first like community? Where did you get your first users?
Yeah, there definitely was a beta for my app Drinksly, and I went through App Airport, um, and that was a really nice kind of like a almost like a little marketplace for developers to upload their betas to without having to go through test flight. At least not the immediate version of test flight. And that actually gave me a lot of feedback. A lot of people downloaded. I was surprised. I didn't think that a lot of developers would download it, but a lot of people downloaded and they tried it. And I didn't get feedback because I don't know if my app wasn't crashing. I mean, gosh, I hope it wasn't crashing, but I didn't get much feedback. But I did start to get feedback later on once I launched it, and people were leaving reviews and stuff like that. But I'd say that my biggest like user acquisition, if you will, like the amount of users that came was because of TikTok. Someone shared it on TikTok, and that's when my app kind of like took off for that short period. And it was a little scary because they shared it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's fine. And then I started seeing like the view count go up and the downloads go up, and I was like, I don't think I can pay for all this. I don't think I can afford what's about to happen because I use CloudKit as the back end. And it started looking like I was going to owe a lot of money, so I actually had to switch my model at the time. So I went from free to paid. So the app was free for about 5 months, and then I switched to paid. And it still gets downloads. I still get new users every day, but I would say definitely focusing on using free products. So like App Airport, and things like Figma. You can make your own designs on Figma. And then there's definitely like premium products that I would recommend other people to use. Sketch, I like Sketch. And then for videos, Rotato. I don't know how many people are going to be familiar with it, but you can do like 3D mock-ups of your iPhones and stuff like that. So that was one of the biggest things that kind of moved me forward with marketing my app, was making videos with Rotato, and I definitely would recommend it to anyone that wants to get more users.
Ah, that's great. Yeah, I never thought of TikTok as a way to drive that first user acquisition. Yeah, it's really awesome. I'm gonna
It
start doing that.
it can be tricky though, because if you I don't know if you were keeping up with it at the time, but Widget Smith, when iOS 14 came out, someone shared it on TikTok and he got like thousands of downloads. And I was like, that's what TikTok can do to your product. It could like destroy it in a day if you aren't prepared, if your servers aren't ready or something like that. So
Yeah, definitely. Especially with TikTok virality right now, I can guess it can get pretty crazy. But still, it's an awesome
yeah,
problem to have. It's a great problem
yeah,
to have your app
that's true.
downloaded.
That's true.
Yeah, I actually remember finding your app, I believe, on an airport, and yeah, the first time I used it, the UI, gorgeous user experience, and everything felt great. So that's when I decided to message you, like, this is awesome, keep it up, great work. And yeah, I didn't even know about the secret Starbucks menu. Um, and yeah, with the Drinkly app, I learned a little bit about it. I think they have different names here in Mexico for each drink. So I don't know how easy to get or to guess the name of the equivalent drink in here, but still, it's awesome to know there are thousands of drinks coming up every day, and like completely new, completely mixes of a lot of things. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's actually a nice segue into the next question I wanted to ask. Because you mentioned you had to update your model, your business model, because of this virality of TikTok. So how do you, what was your approach to pricing? How did you decide the amount and the right time to do it?
So that one's a tough question because I didn't feel like I had a choice when I had to go from free to paid, because the amount of users that were coming in, if I didn't stop it, the amount of users that were coming in within that one day would have kind of like put me in debt, if you will, because it's like everything just started going up price wise. And I said, well, I have to stop this. So I have to do one of two things. I can take it down off the App Store for a little while, or I can make it paid and keep it there so that the people that are willing to pay for it can have it. Um, so I went with paid, obviously, and it was a decision I made in like 4 hours. I like saw what was happening, and I was like, okay, I got to do something. Decided to go paid, and I didn't know what I wanted to pick. I didn't know if I wanted to price it at a higher price. I didn't know if I wanted to price it at a lower price. So I reached out to a ton of developers on Twitter, like through their direct messages, and they all gave me some feedback. Seth gave me, I don't know his tag on Twitter, but Seth gave me some of the best feedback, and he really took time to explain it to me, how he went through the same process of switching his apps to paid, and then he had to gauge pricing, because sometimes you have to price your apps higher, and that's just the way it is. You have to switch, sometimes every other week, the pricing. So he broke it down for me, and I realized that I spent so much time on a product, and I wanted to make sure that it got into everyone's hands, but I also can't just go into debt because of that. So I had to change the model. I had to adapt with the times, if you will. So it was a hard decision, and I know that it's probably a hard decision for all developers because they want downloads. People want their app to be downloaded and used, and if you're pricing your app at 199, the chances of you getting a download kind of go down significantly. You know, there's developers that have apps on the App Store that have never been downloading, like because they're paid apps. So it's hard to gauge it, but you have to go with what's right for you, especially in that moment. So in that moment, it was kind of like fight or flight, if you will. So I made a decision, and I don't regret it. I don't regret it because the users that download it are willing to download and pay for an app that I made, and that's a really good feeling.
Definitely. Yeah, it also makes your user base more defined. They are now considered customers because they are paying for something. That's super great. Next one would be about time management. I know that you live with your girlfriend. I saw it on in your website. So how do you
Yeah.
handle what's your approach to like this is my time for building my side projects, this is time for family, this is time for work.
So since I recently started working somewhere in the past couple months, I haven't had a lot of time to work on personal projects. So updates to Drinksley have become very minimal. I work on it maybe every other week, um, and it's been hard because I didn't realize, as someone that was developing indie apps, how hard it would be to maintain that once you're working 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. And then it's like, after work, I'm exhausted and I don't really want to look at any more code or, Jira boards or anything on GitHub. I want to just clock out for the day. So it's definitely been something of a little bit of a burnout for me recently. So something I would recommend to other people is to kind of have a plan going into it. I didn't. I took the job and I thought that I could power through and I could Superman it. And I think that kind of came back and was detrimental to me currently. So have a plan. Make sure that you are setting time aside for your personal projects. And just remember that as long as you're working towards the goal, so working towards getting your product finalized or finishing a feature or something like that, as long as you're taking steps, even if they're little baby steps, you're working towards what would be a good future. But if you're kind of in a stasis and you're not doing much, kind of like I am right now because of work, it can be a little detrimental, especially to your mental health. So take time for yourself, take time for passion projects, take time for anything that you want to do. So I'll spend time with my girlfriend and my dog, and we'll watch Netflix or something. And it's a completely different life now that I have a 9 to 5. Before I worked for Starbucks, believe it or not. So funny enough, that's why I made the Drinksley app. So I worked for Starbucks and I worked weird hours, sometimes 7 to 1, sometimes 7 to 3, stuff like that. So it was like a weird time frame for me. And then waking up and working 9 to 5 now has just been very different. So for anyone that's kind of heading in the same direction or heading into a corporate job or something like that, make sure that you still allot time for yourself throughout the week or your months, because you're definitely going to want to.
That's great advice, man. Is your 9 to 5 as an iOS developer?
So that's my role. I work at a financial services company. So lately we've been working on internal projects, and we're trying to spin up something that has iOS built in. So I've been in charge of kind of getting that off the floor, and it's been interesting because the project only has about 7 or 8 actual developers on it. So I think I'm one of the only iOS people working on it. So it's interesting. It's definitely a hurdle to get over and getting used to.
Ah, got it. Still, that's an awesome journey. It's super unique, like from film to
Yeah.
Starbucks to iOS with side projects. Very nice to hear that.
I've got a big story. Yeah, I got an interesting one to tell if anyone ever asks.
Okay, so I wanted to ask these two questions. The first one is if you had the means or the money or whatever to terminate one major app, to just kill it and remove it from the existence, one major app, which one would it be for you?
I think it would be Instagram. Uh, and the reason is that I find myself going on there for no reason. I don't post much on social media. I mean, if you find me on Instagram or you know Facebook or something, I don't post at all anything. The only time I ever post is on Twitter, and that's usually because I've got a tech question or I'm brewing some coffee, and I share that with the world. Instagram seems to always bring me back. It hooks me back in. So I'll open the app randomly. I'll scroll two or three people and then I'll close it. And I find it like such a waste of time throughout the day. I don't, I'm not trying to keep up with the Jones. If anything, I don't. everyone's doing okay in life, and there's no reason for me to browse Instagram that as often as I do. So that one. But I know that a lot of people make a living off of Instagram, so maybe that's not the best idea. I don't want to put anyone out in the streets. So
Yeah, me too. I feel the exact same way about any major app that has infinite scrolling. I feel it's just like a drug. It's a waste of time. I personally do not have like Instagram or Facebook because of that same reason. Because at the end, when you look at your screen time and you see like 3 hours like each day on Instagram or
yep,
Facebook, it's just I don't know. It's something that I don't want to be like part of. But I don't know. Maybe this project ends up on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. But
that's true.
but yeah, for me personally, that would be the one app too. And finally, would you name another creator, indie hacker that you would like to collaborate with?
Oh gosh, there's tons. Recently did a hackathon hosted by Cyril, and one of my partners. We kind of went on to work on a Swift UI framework for settings. Like you can, it's like a plug and play type thing for you add it to your app, and you have a settings app all baked in. His name is Yannick, so I would love to work with him again. Um, and Joseph, he was the partner on it. I've got Nick. I'm working on a lot of personal projects with him, and I met him through Twitter. And if I wanted to shout out some developers that I'd love to work with, Mark Moykins, Sean Allen. There's a developer I follow on YouTube. She's amazing. I don't know how to say her name. I think it's like Kareen. She does a lot of like Swift UI, combine all these things. She just kind of like breaks it down so easily so that you can kind of gather the information and work with it. But she's amazing. Those are some like top developers that I would definitely love to work with. And if they want to work with me, I mean, they can always reach out.
I feel the same way. Yeah, there are some people, and we all have seen their videos. And we have all getting some value out of them. Yeah, do you have anything, any advice, any quote you like, or anything you would like to share finally?
I mean, I said it earlier, but it's definitely all about moving forward. Never stop building. Never stop, applying to jobs. Never stop, applying yourself to a project. Keep working hard. Your hard work isn't going unnoticed. A lot of times, it's just you're waiting for that right job. I applied to I want to say maybe 60 or 70 iOS roles before I got called back for my job. And I got interviews, and I was second round, third round, almost an internship, and they all just kind of always fell through. And I was like, man, what am I not good enough? Am I not smart enough? Do I not have enough projects and this and that? But it just takes time, and I think that you have to be able to persevere through it. And that's one of the biggest things. And there's a quote. It's by Lane Duncan, and it's luck is great, but most of life is hard work. So you can definitely have luck throughout your life, but a lot of life is hard work. So make sure that you apply yourself.
Word. I love it. Yeah. So, yeah, again, thank you so much for your time, and you're an awesome person and awesome developer, and hopefully we can get to work together sometime. Really enjoy talking to you. And yeah, send me the link of all the projects you're working on because they're really cool. I'd like to know more about them. So thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
your time. Have a nice day.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Bye.